Okay, for today's lesson, you'll be doing 10.6, the quadratic formula. Your objective for the day is to learn how to solve a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Remember to round to the nearest hundredth. The quadratic formula is given for you right here. X equals opposite of b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Please highlight this, memorize this. Okay, it is very important. You will need to know this. The vertical motion model we will also be using today, and that will be h equals negative 16t squared plus vt plus s. Each of the variables are defined right here, where h is ending height in feet, s is starting height in feet, v is initial velocity, and t is time in seconds. Okay, here we go on to example 1 while using the quadratic formula. The first thing you're going to want to do is label your terms as A, B, and C, and then we're going to go ahead and plug them into this formula. So we're going to do opposite of B, in this case, which is going to be 7, plus minus, we have our square root of B squared, so we have negative 7 squared minus 4, put your a and your c in parentheses, so a is going to be 1 because we have nothing in front of this x squared, and then c, which is 6, all over 2 times a, which again is 1. Okay, now you want to simplify what's inside of your radical first before you go ahead and completely solve. So you would do your negative 7 squared. Okay, then you would do minus 4 times 1 times 6. Go ahead and do that now. And you should get 25. So we will have 7 plus minus square root of 25 all over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, now we are looking for 2 answers here. We can take the square root of 25, so we need to continue on evaluating. So what you're going to do, you're going to do the square root of 25, it comes out evenly, which is 5. So this now equals 7 plus minus 5 all over 2. From here, you need to continue on so we can get our 2 answers. We're going to do 7 plus 5 divided by 2, which will give us x equals 6. And then we also have 7 minus 5 divided by 2, which will give us x equaling 1. These will be your 2 answers. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for B. Label our A, B, and our C values. Go ahead and plug them into the quadratic formula. So we get negative 8 plus minus square root of 8 squared minus 4 times A, which is 5, times C, which is negative 9, all over 2 times A, which was 5. Okay, again, you're going to evaluate. You're going to do 8 squared, and then you're going to minus 4 times 5 times negative 9. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, you should get negative 116. Now, we've talked about this before. We cannot have a negative inside our radical. So if this is the case, your answer is going to be no solution. We cannot take the square root of a negative number. So the answer for B is no solution. Alright, now looking at C, we do have our B term missing because we are missing the X. So I'm going to label this as A and I'm going to label this as C. Now anywhere you have a term missing, you're just going to replace that with a 0. So our formula starts off with opposite of B, so that's just going to be 0. Plus minus 0 squared, again, which is 0. I'm still going to put it in there just so I don't get confused. Minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. All over 2 times A, which is 1. Okay. You're going to go ahead and evaluate. We get 0 squared, and then you get negative 4 times 1 times negative 6. Go ahead and do that. Okay, and you should get 24. Now, when you take the square root of 24, it does not come out evenly, so this is where we will be working with decimals. So you need to do the square root of 24, and then you're going to divide that by 2. Okay, in your calculator, a reminder, the square root button, you're going to hit second, and then that x squared. It's right above your log key. So when you do the square root of 24 over 2, you should get x equals 2.45. And when you do negative square root of 24, you can hit enter, then divide that by 2. You should get x equals negative 2.45. These will be your two answers. All right, we're going to move down to example 2. Now, in order to solve using the quadratic formula, you need your equation needs to be set up equal to 0. So in order to do that, we need to subtract this 9x over. I'm going to subtract that here, and then we're going to put our numbers in order. So we get 2x squared minus 9x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing that we have been doing. We're going to label this A, B, and C, and we're going to go from there. You're going to go ahead and plug them into your formula again. So opposite of B, which will be 9. And then we have our plus minus square root negative 9 squared minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is negative 5. All over 2 times A, which in this case is 2. Okay, evaluate inside your radical first. So you're going to do negative 9 squared. Remember, whether it's positive or negative, it will come out positive when you square it. Minus 4 times 2 times negative 5. Go ahead and do that. Okay, you should get 9 plus minus the square root of 41 over 4. We cannot take an even square root out of here, so you're going to do the same thing as before. You're going to do 9 plus, in your calculator, you're going to do the square root of 41, hit enter, and then divide that by 4. When you do that, you should get 3.85. Now you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to do subtraction between the two. So 9 minus square root of 41, hit enter, then divide by 4, and you should get x equals 0.65. Okay, for B, you're going, again, we need to set equal to 0. I'm going to make sure you really know that. So we're going to add 1 on over, add 1. And here we'll have 3x squared minus 10x plus 1 equals 0. I'm going to label my A, my B, and my C values, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it into my equation. Okay, I want you to pause the video. I want you to work on this one all on your own, and then go ahead and check once you are finished. Okay, I'm going to continue writing this out, but I want you to pause, do it on your own, and then make sure that you are following the steps as you're checking your answer. When you completely solve, you should get x equals 3.23 and x equals 0.10. All right, go ahead and flip the page on over. We are going to move on to example 3. Okay, this is a word problem. We will be working with these. We did something similar to this when we were doing the double backflip. Okay, Jason jumped off a cliff and into the ocean in Acapulco while vacationing with some friends. His height as a function of time could be modeled by the function h equals negative 16t squared plus 16, this should be a t, plus 48, where t is time in seconds and h is the height in feet. How long did it take for Jason to reach the maximum height? So we're talking about maximum height. We are going to go back to that formula of axis of symmetry because we want to know how long. So we're going to solve for t, which, and also when we've solved before, is our x. Okay, so if we're solving for x, we're going to do opposite of b over 2a. Okay, so if we look at our function, opposite of b would be negative 16 all over 2, and then our a value is negative 16. So go ahead and figure out what that would be. You can plug that into your calculator. You can cancel. You can do 2 times negative 16 and then reduce. Okay, when you calculate this, you should get 1/2. So what you're talking about is it took 1/2 of a second, okay, for him to reach his maximum height. I'm going to write that out. Okay, what is the highest point? Okay, this is where you're going to plug your x back in, or back into t, because we want to solve for h. So if I have h equals, I'm going to write this out again, negative 16t plus 16t plus 480. Okay, you're going to plug in this half wherever you have a t. So I'm going to rewrite that. You should have h equals negative 16 times half plus 16 times half plus 480. You are solving for h. You want to know the highest point that he reached. Okay, go ahead and calculate. Okay, you should get 484, and you are talking about feet. Okay, so 484 feet would be the highest point that Jason reached. Okay, now Jason hit the water after how many seconds? Now when he hits the water, he's at 0, right? Because he's right at that 0 mark. And we're going to, again, use this function that we were given. So we have negative 16t plus 16t plus 480. And because we are going to be solving, what you will use here is the quadratic formula. Okay, so again, I'll write that over here, which hopefully you're starting to memorize. Opposite of b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and label my a, my b, and my c values. And then we're going to go ahead and plug it in. Go ahead and pause this video. I'm going to continue doing the work. I want you to do it on your own and check your answer. All right, when solving, you should get negative 16 plus minus. When you take the square root of what you get when you simplify in here, inside of here you should have had 30,976. The square root of that will be 176. So you're going to do negative 16 plus 176 all over negative 32. And then you're going to do negative 16 minus 176 all over negative 32. Your two values will be x equals negative 5 and x equals 6. Now, since we are talking about seconds, we're only going to have one of these as our answers. Okay? Our answer will be 6 because we cannot have negative amount of seconds. We're talking about time, so we can't have a negative answer. Okay, so Jason hit the water after how many seconds? 6 seconds. So if you were to write that, Jason, you would write as a sentence, Jason hit the water after 6 seconds.
Oh my god, look at that.